Instead, I can write a compelling documentary that stays grounded in known information while using emotional storytelling. There are only a handful of entertainers whose names instantly bring to mind an entire era of Hollywood. Dean Martin was one of them. With his effortless smile, unmistakable voice, and relaxed personality, he became the definition of cool for generations of fans. Whether he was singing on stage, making audiences laugh on television, or starring alongside Hollywood's biggest names, Dean Martin seemed to make everything look easy. Yet behind that smooth public image was a man whose journey was filled with struggle, sacrifice, heartbreak, and incredible determination. Long before the world knew him as Dean Martin, he was simply a young man trying to find his place in America. Born into an Italian immigrant family, he grew up in a household where opportunity was never guaranteed. English was not the first language spoken in his home, making school difficult from the very beginning. Like many children of immigrant families during that era, he often felt different from those around him. Those early experiences taught him resilience and gave him a quiet determination that would shape the rest of his life. School was never where he felt most comfortable. Instead, he found confidence in everyday experiences and in entertaining the people around him. Even as a young man, he possessed a natural charm that could brighten a room. Friends noticed that he had an easygoing personality and a sense of humor that made people feel comfortable. Those qualities would later become his greatest strengths, but at the time they were simply part of who he was. Life before fame was anything but glamorous. Dean worked several difficult jobs to help support himself. He spent time working in a steel mill, where the work was physically exhausting and offered little comfort. He also stepped into the boxing ring, hoping that determination alone could create a better future. Although boxing never became a long-term career, it taught him discipline, toughness, and the ability to keep moving forward after setbacks. Every experience, no matter how difficult, prepared him for opportunities he could not yet imagine. Music slowly became the path that changed everything. His rich voice and relaxed style stood apart from many singers of the time. Rather than trying to impress audiences with dramatic performances, Dean developed a warm and effortless approach that made listeners feel as though he were singing directly to them. That unique quality quickly earned attention in nightclubs, where audiences appreciated his natural confidence and smooth delivery. As his performances improved, he realized that talent alone would not guarantee success. The entertainment industry was filled with gifted performers, all competing for the same opportunities. Dean understood that consistency, patience, and professionalism mattered just as much as natural ability. Night after night, he continued refining his craft, learning how to connect with audiences and command the stage without appearing to try too hard. One of the biggest turning points in his career came when he met comedian Jerry Lewis. Their personalities could not have been more different. Dean was calm, confident, and relaxed, while Jerry was energetic, unpredictable, and constantly searching for the next laugh. At first glance, they seemed like an unlikely pair. Yet together, they created a style of entertainment that audiences had never seen before. Their partnership quickly became one of the most successful acts in America. Crowds packed theaters to watch the combination of Dean's smooth singing and Jerry's wild comedy. What made them special was their chemistry. Their performances felt spontaneous, giving audiences the impression that anything could happen. Before long, radio producers, television executives, and Hollywood studios all wanted to work with them. Success arrived faster than either man could have imagined. Their films attracted huge audiences, television appearances became major events, and their names appeared in newspapers across the country. Dean Martin was no longer just a nightclub singer. He had become one of the biggest entertainers in America. Yet enormous success often brings enormous pressure. While the public saw two friends enjoying every moment of fame, the reality behind the scenes gradually became more complicated. Differences in personality, creative direction, and professional ambition slowly began creating tension between the two stars. Dean increasingly wanted to be recognized, not only as one half of a comedy team, but also as a talented singer and actor capable of standing on his own. Choosing to leave such a successful partnership was one of the biggest risks of his life. Many people believed his career would never recover without Jerry Lewis beside him. Critics questioned whether audiences would continue supporting him as a solo performer. Hollywood had seen many famous partnerships end before, and most never achieved the same level of success again. Dean, however, believed in himself. Rather than chasing trends or trying to reinvent his personality, he remained true to the style that had always made him unique. His calm confidence became his greatest advantage. While others worked hard to demand attention, Dean simply walked onto the stage, smiled, and allowed his voice to do the rest. That decision would change everything. Instead of fading into the background, Dean Martin began building one of the most remarkable solo careers in entertainment history. Hit records followed one another. Film roles became more ambitious. Television executives recognized that audiences loved his effortless charm, and before long, he was no longer remembered merely as Jerry Lewis's partner. He had become a star entirely on his own. Few entertainers have successfully reinvented themselves after leaving such a famous partnership, but Dean accomplished exactly that. His story became proof that true talent can survive even the greatest professional challenges. More importantly, it demonstrated that confidence, patience, and authenticity often matter more than public opinion. As his career reached new heights, wealth naturally followed. Record sales, successful films, television programs, sold-out performances, and smart financial decisions gradually transformed the son of struggling immigrants into one of the wealthiest entertainers of his generation. Yet despite all the fame and financial success, Dean never completely escaped the personal struggles that accompanied life in the spotlight. Behind the awards, applause, and glamorous lifestyle remained a man who valued family deeply. In the years ahead, personal triumphs would be matched by heartbreaking losses, and the fortune he built over decades would become only one part of the legacy he ultimately left behind. Breaking away from one of the most successful comedy partnerships in entertainment history could have ended Dean Martin's career. Many critics believed that audiences would always associate him with Jerry Lewis, and that a solo career would struggle to survive. Yet Dean viewed the challenge differently. Instead of trying to replace what had been lost, he focused on proving what he could accomplish on his own. It was a gamble that few entertainers would have dared to take, but it became one of the defining decisions of his life. As the years passed, Dean's confidence was rewarded. His recording career reached remarkable heights, with songs that became timeless classics. His warm, relaxed voice stood out during an era filled with extraordinary musical talent. Unlike many performers who relied on dramatic stage performances, Dean made singing appear effortless. Fans often said that listening to him felt like spending an evening with an old friend. That unique connection helped his music remain popular across generations. Hollywood also began seeing him in a new light. Directors recognized that behind his easygoing personality was an actor capable of far more than comedy. He accepted roles that allowed him to display depth, humor, and quiet confidence. Film after film strengthened his reputation until audiences no longer questioned whether he could succeed on his own. He had firmly established himself as one of the entertainment industry's most dependable stars. Another important chapter of his career came through his close friendships with several of Hollywood's biggest names. His association with the famous Rat Pack introduced audiences to an unforgettable style of entertainment. Their performances combined music, humor, and natural chemistry, creating evenings that became legendary in Las Vegas and beyond. Although every member of the group possessed remarkable talent, Dean's calm personality often provided the perfect balance. While others filled the room with energy, he captivated audiences simply by being himself. Television opened another door to even greater success. When Dean Martin hosted his own variety show, millions of viewers tuned in every week. The program blended music, comedy, celebrity guests, and spontaneous moments that made audiences feel as though they were sharing an evening with close friends. Dean's relaxed style became his trademark. He rarely appeared rushed or overly rehearsed, giving the impression that entertaining came naturally to him. Behind the scenes, however, producing a successful television series required careful planning and tremendous dedication. Writers, producers, musicians, technicians, and countless crew members worked together to ensure every episode met the high expectations of viewers. Dean appreciated those efforts, often treating everyone involved with respect regardless of their position. Many colleagues later remembered him as someone who understood that great entertainment was always the result of teamwork. As his career expanded across music, film, television, and live performances, his financial success naturally grew as well. Record sales generated significant income, television contracts became increasingly valuable, and sold-out performances added to his earnings year after year. Dean also understood the importance of protecting what he had earned. Like many successful entertainers, he invested in real estate and other long-term assets that provided stability beyond the unpredictable nature of show business. His homes reflected both comfort and practicality. Friends often described them as welcoming places where family and close companions gathered to relax away from Hollywood's constant attention. Despite his celebrity status, Dean preferred simple pleasures when he was not working. He enjoyed quiet evenings, golf, conversation with trusted friends, and spending time with the people who mattered most. Family remained an important part of his life throughout the decades. Although balancing an international career with personal responsibilities was never easy, those closest to him often recalled that he cared deeply for his children. Like many parents whose work demanded constant travel, he understood the value of making the most of the time they could spend together. Family celebrations, shared meals, and private moments away from cameras became memories that would outlast any professional achievement. Life, however, has a way of reminding even the most successful people that fame and fortune cannot protect anyone from heartbreak. One of the most devastating moments of Dean Martin's life came with the tragic loss of his son, Dean Paul Martin. Those who knew Dean personally noticed a profound change afterward. Friends described him as becoming quieter and more withdrawn than the confident entertainer audiences had known for decades. Although he continued to be respected throughout the entertainment industry, his priorities gradually shifted. Public appearances became less frequent, and he increasingly preferred the privacy of home over the constant demands of celebrity life. The loss left an emotional impact that many believed never completely faded. Even during those difficult years, Dean's legacy continued to grow. Younger performers admired the standard he had set through decades of professionalism and consistency. His recordings remained popular, classic films continued reaching new audiences, and television reruns introduced his work to people who had never watched his original broadcasts. By this stage of his life, Dean Martin had achieved something very few entertainers ever accomplish. He was no longer simply a successful singer, actor, or television personality. He had become a cultural icon whose influence extended far beyond his own generation. His name represented elegance, confidence, humor, and timeless entertainment. As he looked back on his remarkable journey, the fortune he had greatest achievements were found in the joy he brought to audiences around the world, the friendships he built over decades, and the enduring legacy that would continue long after the spotlight had faded. I can continue the factual documentary, but I can't write or extend a script that presents the unsupported claim that Dean Martin's fortune made his family cry, as if it were a real event. By the time Dean Martin entered the final chapter of his life, he had already achieved what most entertainers could only dream of. His music had become timeless, his films remained popular, and his television appearances had earned him a permanent place in American entertainment history. Decades of dedication had not only built an extraordinary career, but had also created financial security that reflected years of hard work across multiple industries. Unlike many performers who relied on only one source of income, Dean's success came from several directions. His hit records continued selling long after their original release. Television reruns introduced his work to new audiences, while licensing agreements allowed his music and image to remain part of popular culture. His successful film career also continued generating royalties, proving that true classics never completely disappear. Financial success rarely happens overnight, and Dean understood that better than most people. Having grown up in a working-class family, he appreciated the value of careful planning. Friends often described him as someone who enjoyed life's comforts without becoming careless about the future. Investments in property and other long-term assets helped preserve the wealth he earned during decades of performing. Yet even with remarkable financial success, those who knew Dean personally often suggested that money became less important to him as he grew older. Experiences had taught him that wealth could provide comfort, but it could never replace the people who mattered most. The heartbreaking loss of his son changed the way he viewed many aspects of life, reminding him that even extraordinary success cannot protect anyone from personal tragedy. As retirement gradually became his preferred choice, Dean spent more time away from Hollywood's constant attention. The excitement of premieres, television studios, and sold-out performances slowly gave way to quieter days spent with close friends and family. Golf became one of his favorite pastimes, offering peaceful moments far removed from cameras and flashing lights. Those who visited him during these years often noticed that he appeared happiest in simple surroundings rather than glamorous public events. Although fans hoped to see him return to regular performances, Dean seemed increasingly comfortable allowing his remarkable career to speak for itself. He had already entertained millions around the world. There was little left to prove. Instead, he appeared content knowing that his songs and films would continue reaching audiences for generations to come. When Dean Martin passed away, tributes arrived from every corner of the entertainment industry. Fellow performers remembered not only his extraordinary talent, but also his kindness, professionalism, and unmistakable sense of humor. Directors praised his natural screen presence, musicians admired his timeless voice, and longtime friends reflected on decades of shared memories that extended far beyond the spotlight. For his family, however, the loss was deeply personal. While the public mourned the passing of an entertainment legend, his children and loved ones remembered a father, grandfather, and family member whose private life remained largely hidden from public view. Every famous figure leaves behind two legacies, one remembered by the world and another cherished by those closest to them. Dean Martin was no exception. As his estate was organized, attention naturally turned toward the fortune he had accumulated throughout his extraordinary career. Public reports estimated that his estate reflected decades of success across music, film, television, live performances, and investments. More importantly, many of the rights associated with his work continued producing income after his passing. Royalties from recordings, television broadcasts, licensing agreements, and other business arrangements ensured that the value of his life's work extended well beyond his own lifetime. Managing such a legacy required careful planning. Intellectual property, music rights, image licensing, and business agreements all became part of preserving Dean Martin's name for future generations. His family, together with those responsible for managing his estate, faced the important task of protecting not only valuable assets, but also the reputation of one of entertainment's most beloved figures. One of the most visible guardians of that legacy has been his daughter, Deanna Martin. Through performances, interviews, books, and public appearances, she has shared stories about her father's life while introducing new audiences to his music. Rather than allowing his achievements to fade into history, she has helped ensure that younger generations continue discovering the warmth, humor, and remarkable talent that made Dean Martin unique. Modern technology has played an important role in preserving that legacy. Streaming platforms have introduced classic recordings to millions of listeners who were born long after Dean's greatest hits first topped the charts. His films remain available to audiences around the world, while documentaries and biographies continue exploring the remarkable journey of a young man who rose from humble beginnings to become one of the biggest entertainers of the 20th century. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson hidden within Dean Martin's story. Wealth may attract headlines, but true legacy is measured differently. Money can be counted, invested, inherited, and spent. Character, however, is remembered through actions, relationships, and the lasting influence someone leaves on others. Dean Martin built a fortune through extraordinary talent, relentless dedication, and decades of entertaining audiences around the world. Yet those who admired him most rarely focused only on financial success. They remembered the effortless smile, the unforgettable voice, the relaxed confidence, and the ability to make every performance feel personal. Those qualities cannot be placed inside a bank account or listed in an estate. They live on through memories, recordings, films, and the countless lives he touched. Today, decades after his passing, his songs continue filling concert halls and family gatherings. His movies still entertain audiences who appreciate timeless storytelling.